Welcome to the latest printed press. And today we're actually doing a special on something that's not actually been done on social media as of yet. Of course, we are very thankful to the NHS and lots of frontline workers during COVID-19. But what hasn't really been talked about is recognising and supporting the security profession during COVID-19. So that's the focus of our programme today. But we also have a very special slant on our program today. We've actually got a very young guest with us, Saurav and Kalia, who is very talented young boy. Hello, Saurav, how are you? On the drums, and we're going to talk about why he's on our program in a moment. And we've also got two security officers, Steve, Antoniou, and also Greg Meek. Welcome to my program, guys. It's lovely to have you on. Thank you very much for coming on my program. And you are part of SIA Security, and your company is called Insight Risk Management. Hopefully that's correct. I got that right. Thank you very much for coming on. I apologize to our viewers in advance. We're a little bit late to go live, but we just had a few technical difficulties and we wanted to make sure that everything was professional and ready, because today's subject, like I said, hasn't really been looked at in social media at the moment. And I think we really need to make a point of recognizing and supporting the security profession. But Saurav, before we start on that, can you tell our audiences how old you are and a little bit about yourself and about the instrument that you learn and you are playing very, very well at the moment for many, many years? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So my name's Saurav Kalia and I'm 12 years old, and I play the dhol, which is an Indian drum, which is a percussion instrument, and I've been playing for about 8 years, so since the age of 4.
Right, and where'd you go to learn the drums?
So I learned at the London School of Dhol in Finchley.
Okay, and in a moment we're going to talk about why it is that you actually played for Greg and Steve, isn't it? Because you've got a very special story. But before we go on to that, I'd quite like to introduce Greg and Steve to our audiences as well. So whoever wants to start first, if you could both introduce yourselves and give a little bit of a background to yourselves to our audiences. Go on, Greg, you start.
Okay, so I'm Greg. I've been in security since the age of 17. I'm now sometime over 30, and I don't play any musical instrument, but I'm what you'd consider a frontline security officer, a consultant, and an operations manager of security. So there's a lot of different avenues you can go into security nowadays, but with the consultancy as well as the manpower, it sort of expands out, which is great for people who want to get into the industry as well. So yeah, about 25 years odd in the industry now, and yeah, it's what we do.
A long time. Steve?
Hi, I'm Steve. I've been in the industry now, I'd say around about 15 years, approximately 15 years now. As I said, frontline officer on the ground, also the ops manager of Insight, constantly on the ground with the guys. As I said, so many different projects that we work on. So we're literally just all over the place, making sure the guards are happy, performing to the standards that we want them to be performing at, and just looking after everyone, really.
Yeah, so you're really part of it. I've had a program about unsung heroes, and you are one of our unsung heroes. So thank you very much for coming on. And we're going to talk a little bit about that and generally the security profession, how much of a difference you've made during COVID-19 and how necessary it's been to have security during this very difficult pandemic. But just before we move on to that, unfortunately in our community there is actually somebody missing at the moment, so we're just going to put an advert out for that. His name is Ahmet Gökhan, and he's been missing for quite a long time. We just put up a picture of him there for our audiences, and I'm going to talk about it at the end as well. But basically, he's been missing since the beginning of this month. And if anyone has heard anything, please contact Fatosh on the number there, or if you have any other information, as we're very concerned about the fact that he's missing. So I just wanted to quickly put that up on the screen. Thank you very much. But Saurav, can you tell us now, why did you play for Greg and Steve? Tell us the story, why you played your drum.
So I wanted to play for Insight Security because all of the security officers and bodyguards were also risking their lives every day, just like key workers. And I also wanted to support Steve, Greg and his team as they were working just as hard, and I felt like they needed some credit just as well as the NHS.
Yes, I think it's commendable. And tell us about your videos. So you did some videos, didn't you?
Yeah.
On YouTube, and you put them out on YouTube and Facebook playing it, and it reached a lot of audiences. Greg and Steve, tell us about how you felt about this boy doing this for you.
Well, I mean, I got a call from Rena, which is Saurav's mum, and said Saurav would like to send you a video just to show his appreciation for what you guys do out there on the front line. They sent it to me, and I was so touched by it that I then sent it to Greg. And then we both thought, well, you know what? Let me contact Rena again, see if we can start broadcasting it out on all these security group chats that we have, and get it out there. So then obviously everyone can see that, you know, Saurav is doing something for the security on the front line. And yeah, as I said, we broadcasted it out to a wide network of what we've got. And one of his first video hit 3,500 views within 2-3 days, and then the second one at 1.9.
It was just nice to have a different message, because obviously people sort of go down to supermarkets and some of them have a bit of a tough time with getting their head around the queuing process, and so the guys take a lot of stick, and they really don't get a lot of praise at all. It's one of those things where if something goes wrong, everyone tends to point the finger at security straight away. And the guys are just out there, they're trying to do what everyone else does. They're trying to do their job. We don't necessarily think of ourselves in any other way other than we're just trying to do a good, honest day's work, and we're just trying to feed our families that way. But the guys have been doing great. And when we saw the video, I think we had a little moment, didn't we, to be honest? Just someone actually recognised the industry, not us, but the industry as a general. Yeah, and it was great. I mean, look at him. I saw him play at Steve's wedding, and he was amazing. He's got a real talent. I really wanted to have a play on his drummer sometime. It looks like a lot of fun as well.
Saurav is going to play for us a couple of times on this show in a minute, so you get your drums ready. But before we do that, can you tell our audiences, like Greg and Steve, tell us about what the security industry has actually done during COVID-19, so that our audiences are actually aware of the extent that security has been, you know, valuable in these, you know, pandemic terrible times. Tell us what sort of things does security do during these times?
Well, I mean, a lot of it is doing the same as we were before. That's protecting people, building infrastructure, assets. For us specifically, this took a big tilt because obviously a large part of our business is based around the events industry. So all the music festivals were there to keep people safe, keep them having a nice time, a lot of customer service, stopping the sort of the wrong elements from getting in and making sure the elements that are coming in aren't bringing anything they shouldn't be. And then as people have a couple of drinks throughout the day, just making sure they're safe and they're looked after, because a lot of the people sadly get a little bit of a rough state at the end of the day. So it's just good for them to have somebody who they can say, if I'm in a bad state, someone's going to look after us, sort of a thing.
Yeah, definitely.
But of course, but I mean, of course, the thing we saw more of, and everybody I'm sure has seen it in some way, shape or form, is the social distancing and supporting the government strategy around trying to stop the spread of infection by keeping people socially distanced to 2 meters apart, and just be very sensible in that approach. So a lot of queuing, a lot of frustrations from people because you've got a head count in the store, and people will look inside it and think, well, normally I have a lot more people inside of there, but if we put too many people in, you start squeezing together, and then you're breaking the 2 meter rule. And it's very important we follow the government guidelines. Very important.
Yeah, so you're keeping our public safe, basically. So what you're saying is to the public, be easy on security when you see them. Actually, they're doing a great job. See them as the unsung heroes as well, very much so. And we were talking offline with Steve, and Steve was saying, I think this is one of the first that we're actually recognising the security industry. And Saurav, a young boy, you know, obviously for the NHS, every Thursday we clap, don't we, in recognition of all the hard work that they do. And of course, that should be done. They're doing a phenomenal job. But so, for a young boy to think, well, actually, what about this profession, is very forward thinking, and I think it really moved you emotionally. Now we're going to actually showcase some of your work, Saurav, so we want to hear you before we carry on with our interview. Are you ready to showcase us a little bit of a tune?
Yeah, I can.
Yes. Okay.
I'm looking forward to this.
Can you move it so I can see a bit? No.
It's very good for you.
Oh, well done. Can you, Saurav, tell us again, just in case new people have logged on, how old are you, number one? Oh, he's putting on his earphones first. Tell the audience how old you are, first of all.
I'm 12 years old.
12 years old, and you're playing to that quality. No wonder you had so many K views. And how long have you been playing that instrument? How old were you when you started?
I was 4 years old, so that
4 years old. Look, we've got comments coming in. Sybil has put, well done, giving you lots of promising images there. Can you see?
Yeah.
Everyone's loving your stuff. Greg and Steve, tell us about, because you're obviously involved with the youth, very evidently, hence why you already had this link anyway. So this boy was already inspired by yourselves, otherwise he wouldn't think to play for you. Obviously you must have done something, but tell us what sort of things do you do to support and educate the youth today?
Well, we try and encourage people. I mean, whether it's people we know or young people we come into contact with, or someone says, you know, my son's looking for a career or something like that. Greg, Steve, you guys do something which is considered a professional industry. What can you do? So we kind of explain to the guys that security nowadays, where, you know, people sort of see it as like the guys on the pub door and that sort of business. It's not what it's about. This is a real professional industry now. We've got the licensing of the SIA to back us up. We've got umpteen different training courses and organisations that promote that and encourage that. You know, organisations like the police cadets even getting the guys in. So we'll take on young people and we see a potential in them. We can teach people security skills, but we can't teach them the right attitude. So if we find people with that attitude, it works. So we bring them in. They spend a lot of time working with us. In certain cases, we send them on courses as well. We do a lot of our own in-house training as well. We've got actually the academy, the Inside Academy, which is the side where we sort of look to develop and foster sort of long-term benefits for the guys and developing their skill sets. And quite sort of point them towards the right directions.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the guys, when they're at a younger age, they'll do steward work for us. And once they've obviously done quite a few festivals as a steward, they'll sort of see what the SIA guys are doing, and then they think, well, do you know what? I want to do that. So they'll say, oh, Steve, Greg, is there any way that you can put us on a course, and then we can sort of work with you guys? And as I said, I mean, we constantly learn every day that we go out to work. We constantly learn. And, you know, to get these guys that want to join the same industry that we're in as well, to make it a safer environment for everyone, it's nice because they're coming up and we're sort of training them to the best standards of what we can give. And
give them that experience.
Yeah.
And if we're planning something out, we tend to say, even the young ones, we tend to say to them, how would you do that if this was you? And we've had a couple of occasions like that, haven't we? We've been setting up sort of queuing systems and that sort of business.
That's
and
right, yeah.
some of the younger guys have come forward and they've said something, and Steve and I have looked at each other and gone, how did you know that? That's actually really makes common sense. So we encourage them, you know, to take ownership of the job, give them the opportunity. We kind of put a family sort of tilt on it as well, don't we?
That's the thing with us. We've got like a family-run company, so you know we'll put 110% with them and listen to what they say as well, because a lot of these other companies out there don't want to give certain youths the time of day for anything. They're like, oh no, rather than we'll take them on, we'll train them and help them through everything.
And we've got some guys out there, some guys who were sort of, I think they were at a point in their lives where it was a case of, I need to find a career, I need to do something I can get my teeth into, else I'm probably going to take quite a different tilt in my life. And that's really sad to see, just because they're losing the opportunity and they're losing sort of that mentor touch. I wouldn't say sort of a father or an uncle touch or something, but someone they can sort of look up to and sort of see how someone else does it, and then
how they've changed.
And developed.
Yeah, because obviously, you know, it's a tough job, but it's something that I think someone who's been troubled might be interested to get into, actually. And I'm going to ask you in a moment why you got into this industry, the both of you. But before I ask that, Saurav, tell me, do you know what you want to be when you're older? Do you want to be a musician? Do you want to be a security guard? Do you want to be a doctor?
I want to be a barrister.
You want to be a barrister?
It's going to work for us.
Play those drums. You'll convince anyone, I'm telling you. I'm going to ask you to play another one in a minute, so think about what you want to play in a second. But going back, we're getting lots of comments as well, and we're going to read through some of the comments. A lot of them are compliments to Saurav and his playing. I think everyone's just been amazed by your drum playing. But I mean, I've heard it before, and my children go to the same school as you, so you've showcased your drumming skills before, and I think you're a bit of a superstar in our local community anyway. But I think now it's going to go to the wider community. Everyone's going to want to hire you for their weddings, I think, soon. Your mum's going to get loads of phone calls. But guys, tell us why you do it. She already does, I'm sure. Tell us why you got into security. Like, what's the story between, you know, Greg and Steve? How did you both get into it?
Mine's quite a funny story, actually. There was two jobs from the age of like 6 years old that I wanted to do. My first job is I wanted to be Karate Kid and have my own martial arts schools.
You did.
And my second one, and my second one, funny enough, was I watched the film Bodyguard with Whitney Houston, and I just said that's what I want to do. And you know, they're both my dream jobs that I wanted to do. And touch wood, I did open up a martial arts school, and I am a close protection officer now. And touch wood, I've done what I wanted to do for my dream job, to be there to protect people. I've always been that person that wants to protect people rather than let them get hurt. I'll rather put myself forward. That's me.
I think that the interesting thing with that is obviously the security industry is full of people, some who are in it because they want to be security, and because of Steve and I, as someone once described it to me, you said, oh, you've got the protective gene. The what? And they said the protective gene, it's in your DNA, it's in your makeup, it's in genetic. And I thought, what a great way of looking at it. I mean, I remember my school days, whenever there was a problem, a first aid incident or something like that, I'd want to help. I'd want to be the person there. If there was a fight, I'd want to be the one to try and stop that, to be the peacemaker. And I think that a lot of friends recognise that, because over time, if you know, as I'm sort of hanging out with the guys and we're at parties, we're at clubs and that sort of business, something happened, the general words were go and get Greg. I mean, I'm quite a big chap as well, so obviously that has a lot of, I'm 6'6", so that has quite a lot of confidence for the people who are involved in that. But I mean, I went to university, and I was working in security there, working in events up in Manchester, Manchester United Football Club and that sort of business, and Old Trafford cricket, Haydock, Chester racecourses, that sort of thing. And I was the youngest supervisor they ever had, and I just lapped it up. I just loved it. Just the ability to help people and to keep the peace. You know, keep the peace was it was a good feeling.
Definitely. Saurav, are they like your heroes, these two guys? Are you happy that you played for them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
We've got lots of comments. You're going to help me read some of them out. Sybil said, well done, Saurav. Gulnil put, well done, Saurav. You are amazing. Thank you for all the security guards who are endlessly working for the community, which is true. And this is the first that we're actually recognising this on social media. And I think we need to do a lot more, like you said, because, you know, it's not easy at the moment during COVID-19 to be within security. And they're actually main players to ensure that, you know, the community is safe and the public are safe. Sultan Izzet, well done again. And Fatma's put great talent. So in a minute now, you're going to play us another tune. Do you want to play and then I'll ask some more questions? Are you ready for another tune? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's hear you then. Yeah, how much do you practice? How many hours do you think? Like every day, how many hours do you think you practice?
Probably like 1 and a bit into a day, every day, a week.
Every day. That's really, really good. You know, someone's put a comment, it takes a lot of dedication. I think definitely relevant to Saurav because it takes a lot of dedication to be able to play so well. It's not just about talent, it's about putting in the hours, isn't it? Would you give that advice to anyone who wants to learn an instrument that they need to practice?
Yes, I've always like heard the phrase practice makes perfect. So as long as you can nail something like again and again, if you continuously work on it, you'll always achieve it. You'll always achieve what you want to reach to.
Yeah, and someone actually asked that question. Sybil actually put, can we ask Saurav now how often he practices? God, so we think alike, Sybil. We asked that question at the same time. But dedication generally with the security industry, obviously it takes dedication to be successful in your profession as well. Can you tell those people out there that want to get into security, what's the path that they need to take? Like, what's the steps, Greg and Steve?
Well, the first part is if you're starting out in the industry, for starters, you've got to do your time on the ground. Steve and I have been working in the industry for a long time, as we've said, and we've got to where we are by understanding the role. I mean, Steve's the head of operations, and in order for him to get there, the guys have to know that he's been there himself. So we both spent a lot of time in our early career scuffing up our elbows, rolling with the punches, you know, diffusing conflict, working your management skills, and it's very much a people game. The more you can understand people, the more you can sort of identify when there's problems, and then try and work to solve them. That's a great start. Then you can sort of get a feel for the fact that it's the right industry for you. They've got to go out and get an approved SIA, Security Industry Authority training course. There's 3 different kinds they can get. There's the basic one as a security officer. This allows you to work in non-licensed premises, so places where they're not selling alcohol or late license for entertainment, foods, etc. So you're looking at a lot of retail, a lot of construction, some residential. Your middle band is the door supervisor, and these are the chaps that we'll see working on the pubs and the clubs. And that's sort of your mid-level one, and that allows people to work in the licensed premises. There's more training involved in that one in regard to the physical intervention, because unfortunately, I think we have to be honest. If you're going to get into the security industry, at some time in your career, yeah, definitely, you are going to have some conflict to deal with, and it might get physical, and you have to be prepared for that, because I know if I have a problem and I'm on my own in the middle of a big dance floor, maybe when a fight's erupted, if I call something over the radio to call for support, it doesn't matter how far away this guy is, he's there in seconds.
It's something where, as I said, your team, you're like a family. So if he calls and he's in trouble, you need to go there and help that person.
Yeah.
Literally, you're gone. As I said, we've dealt with so many different scenarios, haven't we, really?
Oh, hugely, yeah. From peaceful protest to quite sort of really aggressive protest and that sort of business.
There's been some aggressive protesters. I mean, we're not going to go down that sort of route with
no,
that, right?
but I mean, listen, we're not trying to say that it all ends up in an aggressive situation. If you're a good security officer, your soft skills, your ability to communicate, diffuse a situation, and core to that is treating people with respect. A lot of the time, some security officers who maybe aren't really for the industry.
Well, that's what you. So what me and Greg were talking about earlier as well was, for example, where there's the younger youths that want to, get a job in the security industry, and where it works well is it's not that you have to be ex-military or anything like that. It's if you've been brought up in like a rough neighborhood sort of thing, and sort of you've been in situations. So
street smarts.
Street smarts. So when you've been in those sort of situations, it just comes a second nature to obviously speak to that person, and you can sort of go down to their sort of level and understand where they're coming from, and the respect that they give you. It's crazy. I mean, some of the guys, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. That makes a big difference.
And there's an awful lot of different specialities you can go into. So if you go into pubs and clubs, for example, then you have to be prepared to diffuse and be prepared to go hands-on with people. And that's what the door supervisor course has. Home office approved, medically endorsed, physical intervention techniques, which minimize the harm to the people performing the physical intervention and the people who are on the receiving end. So that's really important. There's corporate, there's retail, there's aviation, there's maritime, there's consulting, there's advising, there's training. Business continuity is getting more and more into it as well.
I mean, also as well, you've got the front door jobs as well, where the front doors isn't just a doorman.
The concierge.
Like the concierge.
Yeah, the welcoming front of house.
Madams,
so not all environments are contentious, not all sort of dangerous. No. You choose that if you want to. I mean, the third level of training and licensing is the close protection officer, and that is the traditional bodyguard or minder, as we used to be called. But and that's a very professional sort of method. And in terms of that, again, it's not a case of saying I'm going to go in prepared to fight. You do a lot of planning. There's a lot of training about the advanced work to stop that from actually becoming a problem in the first place. So first thing first is a SIA course. Choose the right one that's right for you. Hopefully you've chosen the industry that's right for you. Get as much experience as you can. I did some really awful jobs as a freelancer, but I'd pick up the phone and they'd say, Greg, you working this weekend? I'd say, no, what am I doing? Greg, we got a job for 3 weeks. Where am I going? Who am I working with? I wouldn't say, tell me about it first before I'm going and committing to the job. We would just go out and do the job, learn the experience, step back, and then be able to say, I learned from that. And then as you spend some time in the industry and you've got to know it and you've understood it, then you can start looking to develop the next stage, because you don't have to stay at security officer. Some people do, and that's naturally what they want to do. And they're very, very good at that. Some people want to head for the management positions or become a trainer or expand their knowledge by joining an organization, which I highly endorse for anyone who wants to get into security. And that is the Security Institute. Look them up. Great organization. From an absolute beginner through to a seasoned consultant, there is a place for you there. And they are, crikey, so active in terms of developing people, offering you the opportunity. They've got a mentoring scheme, continuing professional development scheme. It offers other opportunities for you, bounce off of other professionals, learn from them, and expand, see where it goes. There's more and more opportunities coming in this industry all the time, and you can make a real professional career. And cyber security is another, and that tends to be quite well-paid sort of work. But you look at the big corporates, you look at the big corporates now, and you look at the wage these guys can be on because they've got the experience and because they've developed themselves with qualification. You think, whoa, that's a considerable wage.
There's some clients, obviously, we won't say names or anything like that, but some of their IT guys, what they're dealing with, all this cyber security, is absolutely crazy.
Attempts at penetration to the systems and
I mean, as I said, there's so many different tests that, as Greg was saying, penetration tests where you're going into buildings and things like that, or they're trying to hack into their systems like banks, etc., like that. So there's someone there that's actually constantly working, and he is in the security industry. So it's not all about
just being a bodyguard.
No. That's a part of it, not the whole thing. No.
Yeah.
So
and I'd like more women. Is there women? Is there more and more women coming into the industry now?
Oh, God.
Because there's a fixed idea, isn't there, that security is just for men, but it's not like that, I'm sure.
Absolutely not.
We've got some great officers, which are women, which are absolutely fantastic. I won't say their names because if they're watching, they'll get super happy. So I'm not going to say their names either. But,
you'll never hear the end of it.
No, definitely not. So, I mean, as I said, I've been into so many situations. For example, when we've done boxing events and things like that, the white collar, and we've had a certain female with us. And she would literally just be stuck in straight away.
Oh, yeah. They don't hang about. I mean, listen, whether you're big, small, wide, thin, whatever, there's a place in security for you. We've got this great expression. It's not our expression. We learned it many years ago. It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. And I've seen some very small, unassuming looking females who actually turn out to be really tenacious and really bold. And they can command the crowd.
Well, I mean, we've also got, in our company, we've also got a female manager. And she is a small lady. But she's fierce.
She's fierce.
The clients love her.
Yeah,
I mean, we're looking at the
fierce. Yes.
Okay.
Very, very much so. I think so. Saurav, I know I said I only wanted you to play 2 tunes, but could you play us another tune in a minute?
Yeah.
Come on.
Definitely.
Yeah. One more. And then we've got lots of comments. Guys, I'd say we need to get you back on and we need to do another program because you don't know how many comments we're getting through, how many people you're actually inspiring. So I think we need to continue with this on another day as well, really, because like you said, what you've done for COVID-19 and the future, and we're going to talk about the future a little bit in a minute, but because obviously our world has slightly changed now, hasn't it? And we think things a little bit differently, and I'm sure with every profession things will now become a bit more fluid and slightly mold to the times. And like you said, security in itself as a profession has changed, and you are one of the unsung heroes, and hopefully today we're putting that message out there. And Saurav's playing, and the fact that he's had so many K views on his instrument will hopefully raise awareness for the profession and have you be more recognised and supported really during these tough times. So Saurav, are we ready to play another tune? Wicked. Go when you're ready.
So cool.
When you're playing, you like focus on one place. Do you feel like, how do you feel when you play? Tell the audience how you feel. You know, when you play the instrument, do you feel calm? Do you feel excited? Because you look really focused.
Happy. It makes
you
me
feel happy
so that if something's on my mind that it stresses me, then I can just relieve it by playing.
Yeah. And I think that's why you wanted to play for the security as well, isn't it? Because you wanted to make them happy. Do people smile when you play?
Yeah, a lot of the time.
Yeah, a lot of the time. And they dance as well. You got to teach me to do like a few things on it. It's amazing. Would you like to teach it one day when you're older?
Yeah, like I play like another drum as well, and like both of them, like I'd like to teach one day.
Oh, okay. Greg, you had your hand up.
I would love to play it. I would love to play it. I think it looks awesome. When I saw him playing at the wedding, I just thought, I have to have a play on that before the end of the night.
Yeah, definitely. I know it looks amazing. And you play a different type of drum as well. What's that called?
The tabla.
The tabla. Wow. Okay.
And
Very, very good. Right. Yeah.
That's another percussion instrument, but this time you use your hands, so it's purely with your hands. And then like you sit down, and then like if you soften your hands, then you can use powder.
Oh, you're a superstar. You know that. You're gonna come on my program and play with the different drum next time. Would you like to do that? I think so. Definitely. It'll be really good. Well, we've got some comments. I've got the sun going in my eyes, but I'll try and read it. Sybil has put, Greg and Steve, I think people don't realise how much power there is in using those soft skills, you know, those soft skills that we were talking about, to talk to someone, to diffuse a situation. And she's also put inverse psychology and even empathy can really help, especially in stopping a disagreement from becoming a fight. What do you think about that? Is that like, do you find that you do use those soft skills a lot more than people would think?
Oh yeah. I mean, listen, if we've gone hands-on with somebody, there's a large part of me that says if we've gone hands-on, we've lost. We haven't done our job properly. We teach a lot of conflict management. You can do registered courses, you can do scenario-based training, we can make it specific to the work environment, the situations those guys deal with. Taxi drivers have a lot to deal with. Shopkeepers have a lot of it to deal with. There's an awful lot of people. You don't have to be security to be the person who deals with conflict situations. Some people are just naturally adept at it.
Yeah, definitely. They've got a talent for it.
Yeah, that's exactly the phrase. It's soft skills. The hard skills, I'm happy to say, the soft skills are used more frequently than the hard skills because they always come before it. Treat people with respect, listen well, appreciate their point of view, let them know that you've actually been taking in what they say by mirroring what they're saying, paraphrasing what they're saying, offering solutions. We don't always have the ability to give people what they want. Some requests are pretty out there, but again, when you mix alcohol or angry people,
I mean, a drunk person's always right, apparently. You know, it's just one of those. They'll constantly repeat themselves, but you know, you just all right. You know, no problem. You'll listen to what they're saying. You sort of just get them to the side, give them a bottle of water.
A lot of people do say to us, "We can't believe how much patience you've got."
I mean, if you take offence to what someone says to you, you're in the wrong industry.
Yeah.
And this is what we always tell the guys, don't we? You know, you could be anywhere. It could be a private event. It could be anything. And someone wants to get in. And you'll say no. And they'll just throw everything at you. Oh, you're this. But it is what it is. You just say, okay, thank you.
We've had our mothers called. Yeah. I don't know how many different names, but
the best one, I've had one where I was in central London. And the guy's constantly coming up to me and says, oh, where are you from? So I don't know. So what do you mean you don't know? Where are you from? Are you stupid or something? I was like, no. I said, I don't know where I'm from. And in the end, I've got him there for about 5-10 minutes talking to me. He's like, oh, Marcus or John, you know, whatever name I told him my name was at the time. He said, we're mates now. It's right if I go in now. And I'm like, no, just carry on talking to me for a bit longer.
It's kind of the first part of that when somebody approaches, like, for example, a door or event or something like that. It's the attitude test. The police use it. It's a very well-established technique. Somebody comes to the door, you start talking to them. And here's a perfect example of that. Well, my friends from back home, we've been friends since primary school, and we've been hanging around a lot. We go on stag do's and rugby tours together. I'm a rugby player from days past. And I remember at one time, we're all wearing the same T-shirt with the logos on and our nicknames across the back, some cleaner than others. And we'd arrived at the door, and the doorman would sort of stop us, and he'd say, all right, lads, how you doing? Sorry, lads, not tonight. And he could see because we were part of the stag do. Now, that's standard. because if you get too many guys and they're all in it together and they're having a good old drink, and that can be a problem. That can be a real problem. If you get too many guys in a club and not enough women, I won't use the expression because I think there's probably children, well, there's definitely children with us, but there's an expression we used to say there's a greater proportion of men than there is women. And that can create problems in itself. But in this particular occasion, you go across and he's doing his attitude check. He's saying, sorry, lads, not tonight. And oh, sorry, mate. Yeah, no worries. All right. Yeah, we've been queuing 10 minutes. It doesn't matter. Well, thanks so much, have a good night. Be safe. And the guy actually turned around and went, oh, hang on. How many of you are there, mate? I said, so it's probably about 15 in total. I think some of the guys are in there. And we'd already had a couple of drinks by this point. But he said, oh, come on, mate, you're okay. He's done his attitude test. He's engaged with us talking. He's seen what sort of a mood we're in. And he's seen how respectful we are to him. And he's thought, well, that's probably not a bad thing to have in the club. I mean, in this particular case, my friends and I, we're not the kind of drunks who go out and start problems. We're normally the ones that stop it. And we're always the one in the middle of this floor having a good old sing-song and a dance. Like when we go out, we just dance and we just have fun. And we just bounce off of people we've never met before. But it's an attitude. It's a mindset, I think, is what I'm saying there.
Yeah, definitely. You know what? We've only got a few minutes left. And like I said, we haven't even touched upon half of the subjects that we should be talking about. What you're saying is absolutely phenomenal. The last point that I want you guys to make, and then we'll put our end message to our audience, is how are you guys involved in charity? Because I know Rena herself runs a charity. So are you involved with her charity or any other charities at all during these times? As a security firm?
I'm one of the trustees with Rena's charity. We help a lot of the homeless, mental illness, and also we're doing the children's one as well. There is quite a few things that we're working on. Obviously, due to COVID, we couldn't do it this time, but it's going to be going on in the new year. We'll be doing some more charity stuff. As I said, we do quite a bit of charity stuff with Rena.
It's important for us to give back to the community, and that's what it's all about. Like I said earlier, it's a people game. So to us, the community is vocal. Without the community, we would have no work. We wouldn't have anyone to look after, and then we'd feel like we're out of the job. So it's important. I mean, you know, we've raised money for a lot of charities over the time. Another charity really worth talking about in brief is Operation Orphan. Let's say there's let's say there's a country in the world and they have a tsunami or some kind of devastating attack or devastating catastrophe. We go out on the ground, we go to the countries, we put the application in, the country will say we need some help, we go down, we assist, and we're looking for children who've been disjointed from their families and maybe have become orphans in the process. Take them to a place of safety, engage with the social services of the country. We've set up orphanages around the world, and that's really worthwhile. I mean, there was one before I joined them, and there was a truck that was stopped and had 15 children in it, and the people who had gathered the children together, again, I'll just sensitively say this, were gathering children for the wrong reasons, and I think a lot of us can automatically appreciate what that means. So there's a lot of people out there that need help. And if we can do something in a small way just to help with that, then that's good for us.
I think we'll do, like I said, we'll do another program. We'll go in more depth with that so that we can support, you know, as a channel, we love to talk about charities and what you do and, you know, get support from the community. So definitely, thank you very much for sharing that with us. Saurav, is there any last things that you'd like to say to our audience? Have you enjoyed playing the drums for us today?
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
It's like a unique experience.
And do you want to just remind us again, why is it that you played for Greg and Steve? Tell us that story again, just before we end the programme.
I wanted to play for Inside Security because all the security officers and bodyguards, they're all risking their lives every day, just like key workers. And I also wanted to support Steve, Greg and his team as they're working just as hard and deserve just as much credit.
Yeah, wow, you're such an articulate young man. Well done. Give you a clap for that.
For sure.
What's your last message, Greg and Steve?
We gave a little gift for Saurav.
Yes.
It's in a little envelope to show our appreciation.
Open it up, buddy.
Definitely.
It's just a little token.
Yes.
There you go. That's one of our little Insight risk management logos there, buddy. As far as we're concerned, you're one of the family. Oh no, we lost him.
He's like, I got the badge, I got what I wanted by.
He's part of our family now.
So what's this?
Run round and come in. But tell us, what are your last messages to our audience? Because we've gone over, actually. We're very lucky that we've been given a little bit of extra time. But just tell us your last thoughts to the audience, as people watching you out there.
There's probably a lot of people sitting there criticising us by saying, you're meant to be keeping 2 meters social distance on people. Steve and I both had the test today. We practically live together. We see each other every day. We're always working, and there's something to be done side by side. We have to be there for each other. We have to be in close proximity because the lads rely on us to support them in that respect. So we're not trying to belittle that, guys. It is really important. We do still keep this 2 meter distancing to try and stop that spread of potentially fatal disease. I mean, I've lost close family members myself during this period, so I'm certainly not blasé about the process whatsoever. But Steve and I are taking a lot of precautions. We're taking it very, very seriously. So please, everybody, do stick to that message and listen to what the government said. It's not that complicated. Don't go out if you don't need to go out. If you have no other choice, okay. But if you get the opportunity, stay at home, work from home, be respectful. Let's try and stop the spread. Let's have no more families affected by untimely deaths of their loved ones.
Yeah, and obviously with the washing of the hands as well, you know, it's been well. It was actually in a video that I watched that they were saying it's a minimum of 16 times you touch your face in the space of an hour. So you don't even realise it, and all of a sudden you've touched your face. Yeah. If you are out there and you don't have gloves, just constantly use hand sanitizers. Wash your hands. Just constantly wash your hands. That's really
simple things, but so important. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And generally, for the security profession as well, what's your last message to them?
Guys, keep on doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job. Thank you for having us on this channel as well, definitely. But yeah, just the guys, just keep on doing what you're doing. You have been recognised, and I know that we don't take praises all the time. It is good to let the guys know they are doing a good job. I mean, whenever you do a good job, you'll never hear anything. It's when something bad happens, that's when you get the advertising of someone's a bad officer, for an example.
Don't hear the good stories, only the bad.
But yeah, just keep on doing what you're doing on my side, and stay safe. And I'll let Greg say what you want to say.
Do what they do. Keep on keeping on out there, guys. If you're in security and you're working out there, keep on. We've got thick skin. We'll take it. Don't take it personally. Roll with it. Not everyone's going to love us. A lot of people hate us, but there are people out there, as we've seen today, and that's really encouraging to see, that do actually appreciate what we've done. We don't do this for praise. We don't do this because we want to be heroes. We're doing this because we're trying to do a job that we feel naturally akin to. So anything that comes on top of that, when we take these hard times, we take the stick. It is nice to hear. It's nice to hear.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on my program today. You've been absolutely amazing. Thank you, Saurav, as well, for coming on my program. My last message is going to be a bit of a sad one. We have a missing person in our community, and it's been a real concern. So I'm just going to put up his picture again. Ahmet Gurkan. If anyone's heard of anything, can they please contact Fatosh if you have any information? We're very concerned about him missing. He's been missing since the beginning of the month. So if anybody out there has heard anything, please contact that number, or even contact Eurogench and give us any information that you know. Like I said, thank you very much to our audiences as well. Thank you very much for all the comments. Thank you very much to Greg and Steve and Saurav. It's been an amazing program. Hopefully we shall do this again. And to all our audiences, that's it from us from Eurogench TV. Have a good evening. Goodbye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Welcome, we are Bologna. Calling newlyweds or those looking for a new bedroom set. Venti 5-door bedroom set is not only glamorous and modern, but has storage inside the bed. This bedroom set was £3,700, now £2,395. Bellona, we are here for you.